Lisa.
And I'm Lindsay, and this is Garbage and Gold,
The podcast where we deliberate the worst and the best about all the things.
Deliberation that just so happens to be loaded with snark, laughs, and even sometimes we agree.
We are good friends who've been sharing our thoughts and opinions with each other for over 10 years, so things might get a little spicy and a little heated, but we are still good friends at the end, we promise.
Absolutely, and we want to know your opinions too. We will tell you more about how to do that at the end of the show, so it is time. Settle in, get cozy, unless like you're driving or doing something that is really important, then don't get cozy, but get ready, because it's time for the deliberation.
Okay, Lindsay, so before we get to our deliberation this week, let's go over the Easter results and listener comments.
Excellent. So in the showdown between our garbages, my garbage of Easter was dressing up, and your garbage of Easter was Peeps.
Mm-hmm.
You did win handily. People do not like Peeps.
Peeps are nasty.
Apparently they love dressing up and putting fake pictures on Instagram.
I think they just hate Peeps more, honestly, but fair.
I feel good about how fancy of an audience we have, though. Like, that feels good in my heart. That they might not agree with me, but they are fancy and they like dressing up. So
they like to look classy. I can respect that.
You go, audience. And then in the gold showdown between Easter candy of mine, which was chocolate eggs specifically, and brunch for you. Yeah. Cadbury reigns supreme. They do love their Easter candy. They're fancy. They are fancy chocolate eaters.
Though they're my people. Those are my people.
It's true.
Our listeners are my people.
Me
Thank you.
too.
Yes, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
I can get behind that. Absolutely.
Everyone but Luke and Matt are my people.
I love Luke and I love Matt. We're good.
Oh, you can.
Oh, you get half of the podcast. That's good enough.
Hey, they can listen and enjoy, but they can't be my nemesis and not expect this to happen to them.
You're right.
Yep.
You're right. This is what they get.
This is what you get for your nemesis behavior. All right. So, Lisa, do you have some listener comments you would like to share?
I do. The first one I have is from Spencer Stapleton at Street Team MTTG. He's also the host of the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, which you can find at Fort of Nerd on Twitter. He clarified, I misspoke last week. He clarified the number of rings in Lord of the Rings. There's 3 for the elves, 7 for the dwarves, 9 for men, and the 1 ring of power is 20 rings. So I apologize. As soon as I said it, I was like, I know that's not right. Anyway, so thank you, Spencer, for correcting me on that.
The
and for,
nerd police
keeping
came after you.
They did, but in such a nice way.
It was
in
very
such a
nice
way.
yes.
Very, very kindly. So thank you, Spencer. My other shout outs this week are for some podcasts. The first one is Praise the Game podcast. I did a article for their blog about Zen gaming, which was really, really nice for them to let me contribute onto that. And they're listeners of the show too, and they're wonderful. So shout out to Praise the Game podcast. If you like video games and you are not listening to that podcast, you should, because they are amazing. Also, we were given shout outs on Not for Human Consumption, Off Shift, and All Bros podcasts this week. Mentioned Garbage and Gold. So you guys are the best. We love you. Thank you. Thank you for
so much.
supporting our show.
Yeah.
All right, Lindsay, what are your listener comments this week?
So mine are more related to the show than just yours, but whatever, that's fine. So Jamie Blissmer on Instagram said that she is not an Easter candy snob. However, she agrees that Easter candy is delicious. I love me, and I'm quoting, I love me a hollow bunny, ears first. And then there was a comment from us that said, you like the hollow ear, like shocked. And she said, there is something satisfying about ripping those ears off. And with listeners like that, ladies and gentlemen, what more could you want? So dark and so wonderful. And then on Twitter, Makeshift Jen said, nothing beats Cadbury mini eggs, which are made from actual miracles. If angels laid eggs, this would be the result. Yep, absolutely. So
they're so good. They're
good.
I
have Cadbury eggs here in case I get like peckish while we record. They are next to my microphone. So
okay, so those are the Easter results. Well done. We each got a win. So that feels good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now on to the show. All right, Lindsay, this week, very timely topic for us. We are going to be discussing the garbage and gold of the Avengers.
Yes. We are.
So specifically, the Avenger characters, not the Avenger movies. So I think we need to be clear about that, first of all. Yes. So, because there's a lot of movies. That could be a whole separate episode, quite honestly. But this is specifically the Avenger team that we are discussing. And even more specifically, we are referring to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So please hear me, friends on the internet. We are talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I know there's a lot of really great comics out there and alternate universes and all that cool stuff. And you know that's very much my thing. And I respect it and I love it. But we are focusing in on the MCU with this episode.
Which could be because of me having not read the comic books and not knowing about the alternate universes. It's fine. We all have like things we bring to the table. And comic book knowledge is not one of the things I bring to the table. It's fine. I know they exist.
I'm looking at my shelf of comic books and graphic novels right now.
Of course you are. And I'm looking at my shelf of Jane Austen books right now. So we're good.
She's on another shelf. She's over there. Yeah. But yeah, right over there's my comics. And there's also my Breath of the Wild guide. It's fine. Okay. Anyway.
That silence, I think, tells you all you need to know.
Fine. Okay. So I will say I've been really excited to get like geeked out because it's been a minute since we've done something nerdy and I'm like ready.
But also like this is super pop culture.
It is.
And so while it is nerdy in a sense, also it feels like it's part of that nerds taking over the world thing of like nerdy things are now cool again.
A brief history on Marvel Comics, which is where the MCU comes from, of course. Marvel Comics is the brand name of Marvel Worldwide, which was previously Marvel Publishing, whatever. They are a publisher of American comic books and related media. In 2009, they were bought by the Mouse, Walt Disney Company, who has acquired everything that ever has happened ever. Marvel started originally in 1939, and in the 50s, they had become known as Atlas Comics, and that is kind of when they started to shift and do a lot of some of their deeper stuff. But the Marvel era began in 1961, and that year they launched the Fantastic Four and other superhero titles created by Steve Ditko, Stan Lee, you probably heard of that one, Jack Kirby, and many others. So because he recently passed away, I also feel like I want to do just a little brief history on Stan Lee because he's such a rad dude.
I feel like we should have like taps playing in the background for Stan Lee.
Oh, what an American treasure. R.I.P. All right, so Stan Lee.
R.I.P. Stan Lee.
Oh, gosh. He was an American comic book writer, editor, publisher, and producer. He rose through the ranks of the family-run business to become the primary creative leader for Marvel Comics for 2 decades. And some of the characters that he helped create include Spider-Man, the X-Men, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Fantastic Four, Black Panther, Daredevil, Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, and Ant-Man. So he frequently made cameo appearances, as you know, having seen the Avengers movies. Mm-hmm. And he also received an executive producer credit for those Marvel movies as well. He continued independent creative ventures until the 90s and until his death in 2018. So
someone in an interview said that Stan Lee's like proudest achievement was his cameo appearances in the Avengers movies, and I was like, oh, that's so sweet.
Could you imagine? Because it was 60s. In the 60s, he began writing that stuff. Like that is wild to see it have such like a crazy cultural impact. And he's just like, God, he's so dope. All right, a little background on the Avengers. Now you should know we are selecting our Avengers from the list. I'll put the link in the show notes so you can see the full list of who they are, but it's avengers.marvelhq.com/characters. This is how we are describing the Avengers based on that research, okay? The Avengers are a team of extraordinary individuals within the Marvel universe who either have superpowers or other special characteristics. The purpose of the Avengers is to protect global stability from inner or extraterrestrial threats. And although they are primarily affiliated with the United States, they work with the peaceful interests of the whole world in mind rather than a specific country or organization. They were first assembled by SHIELD, which stands for Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division, when Loki invaded Earth with his army to conquer the planet, which was the plot of the Avengers 2012 film. That is the framework for the Avengers from the MCU, so that's who we'll be drawing from. You know, we probably will have some honorable mentions, and I'm sure you listeners will have plenty of honorable mentions for people we do not include, but that is where we are starting. So with all of that background, Lindsay, who is your garbage member of the Avengers team?
So, I'm very glad that we did go strictly movies, because I think this could be a controversial one if we weren't talking just movies. But my garbage pick for Avengers is Hawkeye.
Ooh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. According to the Marvel HQ website, they describe Hawkeye as an archer with perfect accuracy and a quiver of trick arrows. Clint Barton's wit is usually faster than his lightning-quick reflexes. Though this expert archer doesn't always follow the rules, he long ago proved himself an invaluable member of the Avengers as Hawkeye. So he first appeared in the comic books in 1964. He joined the Avengers in 1965. When he first came on the scene, he was actually a villain in the comics.
Oh, I did not know that.
A reluctant villain. And then... according to Wikipedia, so it's probably not even true. Some reasons why I think Hawkeye is garbage is he is described as having no superhuman powers.
Right.
But he is at the very peak of human conditioning. Aren't we all? Come on.
I mean, no, I'm not, but okay.
And he is described as an exceptional fencer, acrobat, and marksman.
Okay. So he's like spry and lithe.
Right. Yes. So why is Hawkeye garbage? Because you use words like spry to describe him.
Light on his feet.
So first of all, fencing. Is fencing a cool sport?
Yes!
No.
What? You don't think fencing is cool?
No, I don't think fencing is cool.
Oh my god, Lindsay, I can't believe we're going to disagree about this. They use swords to poke each other.
Yes,
for
poke
points.
each other. This is not dueling. If he was a good dueler, I'd be like, oh, yeah, hands down. But fencing is a little sword with, not even a sharp tip. You can't even hurt anyone.
Yes, you can. You can cut people with a fencing sword. You totally can. And I think that's even more of a talent, because you can't just, hack and slash. It takes angles and, parrying and getting in the right spot at the right time. That's talent.
Yes, how did Hawkeye use his fencing abilities to save the planet? He didn't. And another reason why I think Hawkeye is garbage is I love archery, and I'm actually kind of good at archery.
Ooh.
So does that mean I'm an Avenger? Anyone can shoot arrows, Hawkeye. Come on. Especially in the movies, he just shoots arrows at things.
Well, he has trick arrows.
Far away.
But yeah. Okay, fine.
Yeah. Well, give me some trick arrows and I can save the universe. Yeah. And then the next one, and this one, I know this is an unpopular choice. I have friends who will disagree with me, but one of the reasons why Hawkeye is garbage is Jeremy Renner.
Why?
I do not find him charismatic. I do not find him interesting ever in any movie I've ever seen him in. He has no chemistry with any of his co-stars, and especially not with the other Avengers, and he doesn't add anything. So while watching Infinity War, up until he showed up, do you know what I was not thinking? Man, this movie needs more Hawkeye.
Really?
No, I did not need more Jeremy Renner. I need less Jeremy Renner in my life.
Oh my god.
For sure.
Do you follow? Do you know anything about him, in real life though? Anything?
No, I don't care.
He is he's a really great musician. He's super funny. And he's
No, he is
really
not.
Yes, he is. He's super charming. He's really laid back. He's a man of the people. Wow.
I feel like the Jeremy Renner that I see and experience is completely different than what everyone else does. I do not like him at all.
What?
No. I don't like his face. I don't like his voice. I don't like anything about him.
I don't like
his acting abilities. I don't like anything about it.
I will say, do you remember that show Moonshiners way back when on A&E? Do you know about this show?
No.
I gotta look up what that guy's name was. He is a dead ringer for the guy that was like on Moonshiners. He was perpetually wearing overalls and no shirt. Anyway. Okay, please continue.
That's probably Jeremy Renner in his off time. I'm sorry, Jeremy Renner. I'm sure you're a nice person.
He is a nice person.
Like
I can confirm that.
Because you're best friends with Jeremy Renner.
No, but I've seen interviews with him, and he's been on like late night talk shows, and he's like just a super cool dude. Yes, he is.
What?
Yes, he is. Yes.
No.
Yep.
Nope.
Yep.
I am the queen of watching interviews, and I find Jeremy Renner so awful in interviews. Anyway, the biggest reason why I think that Hawkeye is garbage is I did talk today to a couple young Avenger experts that I know and love in my life, and they both said Hawkeye doesn't really do anything, and that is enough for me. Mic drop. He doesn't do anything in the movies. It has been confirmed by my Avengers experts. So there you go. Hawkeye. Hawkeye is my garbage pick.
Follow up. The guy's name is Tim from Moonshiners. Why don't you give that a Google real quick? Tim from Moonshiners and
I won't
Jeremy,
like Tim from Moonshiner's face because I don't
Jeremy
like Jeremy
Renner.
Renner's
But it's
face.
amazing how similar they look, Lindsay. He might be a body double. Anyway, I just do not agree with you. I think Hawkeye... Yeah, as like a character, he needed to be more than what he was. What I like about him is that the same thing as Black Widow, is they are just a person that does not have any sort of supernatural piece to them. Like, he doesn't have a ton of money, he doesn't have a ton of tech, but he is, I mean, he's obviously smart if he's able to do the things that he does, and he is athletic, and he uses that, and he can, like, keep up with Cap, who is genetically modified. Like, he can keep up with him. He might not be as good as him, but he can keep up with him, and he's just like an everyman, and I think that's super dope. But all right,
I do not think it's super dope, and I think that Hawkeye is garbage.
Fair. All right. Well.
All right.
Great.
So now that we know my opinion, Lisa, let's hear yours. What is your garbage Avenger?
Oh, I had a really hard time picking one because I didn't want to, but oh boy.
I had no problem picking my garbage. We were like, let's do Avengers, and I was like, my garbage is this, didn't I? Like,
you
right
did,
away.
just straight up, and I was like,
straight up.
Oh, I don't know who I'm gonna pick. All right, so I need it to be known. Oh, this is really hard for me. Okay, I really adore Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner in the movies. I do. And I really enjoy how they've portrayed him in the MCU because Mark Ruffalo is brilliant and funny and he's charming and he's just perfect. But if I have to pick a garbage of the Avengers, it's gonna be the Hulk.
Are you basing that on just the Mark Ruffalo movies, or are you also talking about like the Edward Norton movies? Because then you do have like that, you have a point.
Yeah, well, first of all, those are not officially included in the MCU, so we need to be very clear about that.
Whoa. Sorry.
Those are it's been a long time since I've seen those. I did not enjoy those. Maybe going back and rewatching I would. The Hulk from the comics is so different, and I think that there's just a lot more there. Fine. But the Hulk in the MCU is not great. So, a background on the Hulk. He is formed from a massive dose of gamma radiation that transformed the brilliant but meek scientist Bruce Banner into the adrenaline-fed hero Hulk. A hero of few words and incredible strength, the Hulk has long been pursued by those who want to use his power for their own purposes, which is exactly what happens with the Avengers. Now, as a member of the Avengers, he helps smash unimaginable threats that no hero could face alone, hoping to at least prove to the world that he is the strongest hero there is, although his anger is quite dangerous and is often not able to be controlled. Some of his powers and abilities include superhuman strength, obviously, durability, obviously, and healing. He becomes more powerful the angrier he gets.
Don't we all?
I mean,
feel that on a daily basis.
But as Bruce Banner, he possesses a genius-level intellect and is an expert in multiple scientific fields, particularly physics and radiation. So, I think Bruce Banner is gold. He is wonderful. The Hulk is garbage because of the reasons that were listed, that his anger can't be controlled. They basically have to bully Bruce into becoming the Hulk. Once he is the Hulk, they can't control him. And then he has to, like, slipping out of the Hulk is also a challenge, which we saw in Thor Ragnarok. He can't always just go in and out. And even becoming the Hulk isn't always easy, as we see in Infinity War. So he goes, there's just a lot of those issues that make him kind of a garbage member because he can't control it, which is just who he is, and that's not his fault. But there's also, like, this, because it's Mark Ruffalo and because of who Bruce Banner is as a character, because he's this meek, humble, brilliant scientist, I just always feel devastated when he goes back because he has, like, this emotional, mental trauma of what he's done, because he can't remember when he's the Hulk, but he knows that he's destroyed things. And so there's this realization of, like, did I severely hurt someone I love? And sometimes he has. And it's just that, God, it's just awful that they use him in a way just to be like, oh, we want this really powerful guy. Like, come on. Tony Stark has a million different machines. You've got Thor. Just put him in, like, robot suit like they finally do in Infinity War. And then we don't have to worry about Bruce Banner's mental state. So,
but don't you think that, like, struggle within Bruce Banner of the good versus evil, like, I just think there's something, it's just this really interesting narrative, and I don't know if it's in the comics as much, but I think that's one of the things I appreciate about the Marvel movies is it's never a clear-cut, like, hero or villain. There's always, like, redemption or struggles in every one. So in some ways I think Hulk is, like, one of the best in that you see that it's not easy being a hero, that there is always this give and take in it. And
you definitely see the humanity in him.
Totally.
Yeah, and the sacrifice that he makes.
And it's beautifully played by Mark Ruffalo.
Oh my God.
I don't think anyone can play the nuances of that.
Correct.
You know who really can't? Jeremy Renner. And Hulk has one of the best lines ever in the Marvel movies, which is puny God when he smashes Loki, which is just a classic movie moment.
It's really good.
And I would like to go on record, I did try to pick Loki as my gold, and you said he wasn't an Avenger, and I'm very upset.
He's not consistently an Avenger.
Right. I will always vote for Loki.
He is really great, though. He's very fun. He's very fun. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that they do hit on his humanity a lot, his internal struggle a lot. I think that's portrayed very well. Especially in, I think maybe it was Civil War, where he doesn't want to come back. And they're like, but we really need you. And he's like, I just don't want to. And he, like, goes into hiding because even Bruce Banner knows that the Hulk is garbage. And he's like, you guys, can you leave me alone? And they're like, nope, we can't.
But how often is the Hulk the only one who can save the day? There's several times in the movies where the Hulk is the only one.
No, I don't think that that's true. I think that they portray him as that. Like, again, I think that in Avengers 2012 film where he's, like, kind of taking down those big, like, alien dinosaur things that are flying out of the hole that Loki made in the sky, like, yeah, he takes those on. I think there are other ways that could have been fixed, obviously, but that's how they chose to deal with the plot. I think that that's fine because I think they needed to make it seem like they needed the Hulk, because the Hulk is a very nostalgic character for many of us that we know, like, oh, he's identifiable, so he needs to be in this, which is fine, but he's not necessary to win the day. No.
Oh, I don't agree with you.
Okay. Well.
I don't think Hulk is garbage.
Okay, well. Can we agree that we love Bruce Banner?
We can agree that we love Bruce Banner. And I will go down loving the Hulk.
All right. Well, you do that.
Yep.
All right. So we had your garbage of Hawkeye / Jeremy Renner. I feel like you're gonna...
It was mostly Jeremy Renner. Let's be real.
I'm really
Sorry,
devastated by that. We're going to have to do a deep dive on that another time.
Far out of the Venn as can be.
Apparently. He's, like, right on my edge.
Yes. Yeah. Don't get him anywhere close to me.
Oh, boy. And then my garbage of the Hulk. So, what are the good Avengers? You might have some honorable mentions, but I also want to know your golden Avenger.
So, a couple honorable mentions. I will admit that some of the newer Avenger movies I'm a little bit behind on, or maybe don't care as much as some of those, like...
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
It's fine.
I mean, I'm just like, I'm fine with Ant-Man. I don't have like strong feelings either way.
I think that's acceptable. Yeah. I think that's fine.
So my honorable mention is, well, I have a couple.
Okay.
Falcon, because I love a wisecracking hero. So I love what Falcon brings to...
How can you think that Hawkeye is garbage, but Falcon is... Oh, Lindsay.
Are you kidding me?
They're basically the same character, but one's in a suit.
They are not the same character, and they are both not played by Jeremy Renner.
Oh my god. All right. Keep going.
Well, I don't know. I can't believe you're this upset. And because Falcon also teams up with my Gold a lot, and so I feel if maybe my positive feelings have
bled over. All right.
Bled over. And Anthony Mackie is so fun.
Yeah, he is. He's great. He is super fun. I agree with you. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. My other honorable mention is Thor, but only Thor from Ragnarok. He's fine in the other movies.
Okay. Yeah, Thor Ragnarok. What a delightful romp that movie is. Woof.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. I love Thor the most when his hair is short.
Oh, please. Yes.
Yes. So, but my gold Avenger is Captain America.
Oh.
I do love Captain America.
Okay.
So Captain America was first published in the comic books in 1941 and was really kind of conceived as this answer to what was going on in the world, especially around World War II. So during World War II, this is the bio, the patriotic Steve Rogers was offered a place in the military's top operation, Rebirth. Injected with an experimental super serum, Rogers emerged from the treatment with heightened endurance, strength, and reaction time. With extensive training and an indestructible shield, Rogers soon became the country's ultimate weapon, Captain America. So he was frozen during a climactic battle towards the end of the war and was rediscovered and revived decades later. So some of Captain America's, or as they refer to him, Cap, powers and abilities. He is in peak physical condition with heightened strength, endurance, and agility. He is a master hand-to-hand fighter, a skilled military leader and strategist, and equipped with the indestructible shield. Some reasons why I think Cap is gold. In these movies, Cap seems to have this really significant arc of having a bit of an identity crisis. So it's brought on partly by his loyalty to Bucky, which is another very admirable thing. He is loyal to Bucky. And then Cap is really the first one to kind of stand up against S.H.I.E.L.D. and go like, I don't like how things are going.
Right.
Like, I don't appreciate where we're headed. And he always seems to be caught between this older mindset, but is living in a modern time. And so he doesn't always quite line up. And this is, I'll give you a shout out for this because you did give this to me. While Cap gets very, very powerful and is able to do like amazing things physically, and also is just a really great leader amongst the Avengers, but he never uses that for anything but good. Like he stays good. He is always trying to find what is good and what is true. Third reason, I like that the thing I stole from you is like very deep, and then this is my other reason. Cap has the worst original costume. It is a fashion nightmare.
Yeah, it's not
what
great.
He wears.
Yeah.
But he transcends the awfulness of his clothing to be
does.
amazing. After Civil War, where Cap goes on the run with several other Avengers, when he does show up in Infinity War, he's not quite so shiny, and we love a bad boy, and he's a little bit, I don't know if he's bad, but he's not like
he's bearded,
mainstream.
and that is enough for me. Ooh.
And that long hair and that beard, we see you, Chris Evans, and you are ace for that, because that is a beautiful, beautiful look, and your outfit's better.
This was an honorable mention for me, so I'll just throw it out there right now. Cap is my personal favorite. He's not my gold, but he is my personal favorite because I do really appreciate Steve Rogers. Like, especially how they portray him in the first Captain America movie. He's like, he just really wants to do good things, and he's so puny and whatever, and then his relationship with Bucky is just amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets this super serum, and like you and I had talked about that you did mention, is that a lot of times that's how villains are made, is they want to be physically stronger, and then they become that, and it warps them. But for him, it didn't. He stayed true to his morality and his values, and he's this perfect cinnamon roll of a human. I love him. Yeah, I don't even know if I can deliberate anything that's garbage about Cap, other than the fact that he's maybe a little bit too wrapped in nostalgia and naivety, like being naive, I suppose would be the only things that I can say about him, that he doesn't always seem to have a really good grasp about how bad the world is. So
right. But I feel like they play that better in the movies than
they do. All right.
Yeah. All right. So that's my gold. I want to hear yours. What is your gold?
All right. So I do have Cap as one of my honorable mentions, so we can just breeze past him because we spent a lot of time on that. My other honorable mention is Shuri from Black Panther, because I feel like what Q is to Bond, what Q is to James Bond, Shuri is to T'Challa. So obviously Black Panther is rad, and he does a lot of really great stuff, and he's a great Avenger, a great superhero, all of that stuff. His tech helps him be that, and he gets that from Shuri. And what I like about her so much is that she is this intellectual scientist. She's brilliant, she's strong, she's smart, she's all those things, but she doesn't need the limelight. She knows her best way to be an Avenger is to equip and encourage and work behind the scenes and use her brain, and I love that about her. So anyway, she's an honorable mention for me, as was Cap. So my gold Avenger, and I don't even like this Avenger, but they are gold because of the reasons I will list in a moment. My gold Avenger is the OG Iron Man.
That's a good one.
Iron Man seems like a really obvious choice, kind of like George Washington being a gold president, but there's a reason for all of this. So here's some background on Iron Man. When billionaire industrialist Tony Stark puts on his sophisticated steel mesh armor, he becomes a living high-tech weapon. Tony Stark has primed this ultra-modern creation for waging state-of-the-art campaigns, attaining sonic flight, and defending the greater good. He's driven by a heart that's part machine, but all hero. He is the invincible Iron Man. Okay, so Iron Man's power and abilities include wearing modular arc reactor-powered Iron Man armor, which gives him superhuman strength and durability. He can fly, and he can project repulsor blasts. The armor is also outfitted with complex technology, including a cutting-edge artificial intelligence, sophisticated sensor systems, and other gadgets. But Tony Stark himself is a genius-level intellect with particular aptitude in invention and engineering, and he's also crazy wealthy from Stark Industries. So Iron Man is gold because it's basically Tony Stark in a special suit. So you get everything that's great about Tony Stark. You get his intellect, his engineering aptitude, his money, his prestige, his charisma. But then you add on the superhuman abilities where he can fly, he has super dope gadgets, and he uses all of that to try to protect the world. And that's something, it's interesting in Civil War, obviously, because he and Cap don't agree on how to go about it, but they both want what's best, but how they go about seeing what's best is different. So I think some of the other Avengers are more comfortable kind of coming and going, but your gold and my gold both are like, no, they actively need us. We need to be here. But another reason why Iron Man is gold is because the Avengers aren't able to be the Avengers without Iron Man and without Tony Stark. Because for sure, Nick Fury is the one who brings them all together and assembles them, but it's Tony Stark's wealth and Tony Stark's tech and Tony Stark's influence that sews it all together in that first movie and really initiates and sustains the process to get it going. And after that, I mean, yeah, you can probably deliberate whether or not Iron Man is as necessary as it is. But as far as the Avengers needing him and needing all that he brings to the table, he's like the most critical cornerstone of that group. And he's gold. Yeah. He's gold for that.
I mean, obviously, I don't think he's gold in the same level as I think that Captain America is gold. But I think you're totally right. And there's that scene in, maybe it is in Civil War, where Captain America and Iron Man have like the showdown where they're like, we don't agree. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, that is just, it's like heartbreaking. Yeah. Like I'm sitting there watching going like, no, they need both of you. How are you going to do this? Yeah. Like, you guys lead this together. The other thing I appreciate about Iron Man is I love Robert Downey Jr.'s interpretation. I love the snarkiness, the sarcasm. The casting
was perfect.
Yeah. And even that relationship.
Yeah, with him and Pepper.
With him and Jarvis.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I mean, Pepper too, but whatever. He has a sliver of vulnerability that
Robert Downey Jr. does really well of not over-accentuating, but it's always just kind of right there under the surface where because he's in his dad's shadow always in his dad's shadow. And so there's just kind of that constant need to prove himself. And so he comes off as this like super egotistical, larger than life guy, but he so desperately wants to be accepted. And so he's constantly trying to do things where he's like trying to be enough, and he can never be enough. Yeah. Gotta say, Iron Man is the gold of the Avengers. I think when I'm looking at the Avengers as a team, I think who would be the most missed from them, and it's gotta be Iron Man.
He is also responsible for the technology around Vision, and
and he also brings a lot of the background knowledge on the Tesseract. I mean, he, all that stuff. And then when we get into the Doctor Strange movies, he knows about those sorts of things too, with that overlap. Although I will say Doctor Strange was on my short list for garbage. Just because I feel like he is a dude that got his third eye opened by the Ancient One and has a magic cape. Like, that could happen to anybody. So, I don't know. I like the Doctor Strange movie. I think Doctor Strange is rad, but I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like, and again, in the comics, I'm sure it's a lot more fleshed out than that, but it could, he's, you know what, could have been a lot more. So
apparently not a Benedict Cumberbatch fan.
I'm a big Benny fan. I think he did a good job playing Doctor Strange. Again, I liked the movie, but if I'm looking at him objectively as a superhero on the Avengers, I'm like,
yeah, if I find a super cape tomorrow, then
all you gotta do is open
Doctor
your third
Strange.
Eye and you are good to go.
Yeah, a little more yoga and I will do it.
I will also think I was surprised from the website that we used, which again was the Avengers at Marvel HQ, whatever. So I feel like it's quasi legit. They didn't have any of the Guardians of the Galaxy on there. So I will clarify with that too. So there's a reason why we didn't list any of those. Although again, I think some of them are obviously gold. I will say I don't think Peter Quill is, though. I think Peter Quill's kind of garbage. I like him, but I don't think he's a great Avenger.
Interesting.
He's got a lot of daddy issues and a big chip on his shoulder, and he flies off the cuff, and he's driven by his heart. I mean, he's great, but he's not a good Avenger, honestly.
Right.
So, yeah. He would risk it all for Gamora, and can't have that. Gotta have someone who's focused.
All right, that ends our deliberation, and you guys can go and vote for our garbage options, mine of Hawkeye and Lisa's of the Hulk, using the hashtags Lindsey Garbage or Lisa Garbage. And you can cast your vote for our gold options, mine being Captain America and Lisa's being Iron Man, using the hashtags Lindsey Gold or Lisa Gold on our Instagram and Twitter accounts at Garbage Gold Pod.
Please do that, because we'd love to hear what you think, and we really like chatting with you, and we want to hear what your golds and garbages are too that we did not mention. So get up in our feeds, tell us your feels.
Absolutely, and we will share the poll results and our favorite listener comments on our next episode.
And if you haven't already done so, if you could pop on over to iTunes or wherever it is you listen to us every week and give us a rate, review, and subscribe, we would really appreciate that.
And if you like us, tell your friends about us. It is the best way for this podcast to keep going and for more people to join in the fun.
And by the way, we have a great way for people to know you're a friend of our show. You can wear or show your love with our merchandise.
That's right. We've been doing an on-demand merchandise order for the whole month of April, and you can still put in your order for Garbage and Gold shirts, sweatshirts, drinkware, and more.
All the information is on our website, and we'll share the links on social media too. I'm so stoked, but you guys, orders are closing at the end of the month, so like in a few days. So get in there, get your G&G stuff. You want it.
I think I need to get an order in too. So
just squeak in there like what?
Hurry, because I might buy all the stuff.
That'll be gone. Close out sale.
That's right. That is enough self-promotion for now. Join us next week when we deliberate the garbage and gold of prom. I already feel like anxious sweats, like awkward anxious sweats about talking about prom.
Excited.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
I'm so stoked. Prom, which was like 5 years ago for us.
That's right. Basically 2 years ago, I went to prom. It was the best. Eek.
I have a feeling that my prom in Houston, Texas was a little different than your prom in Iowa, in small town Iowa. I'm guessing. Okay. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.